Welcome to the Creation to Cash Flow podcast. On this podcast, we discuss strategies to maximize your creativity and help you achieve financial freedom. How's it going, Michelle?
It's going great. I just spilled water everywhere, but I have water and I have access to napkins. So it's actually really good. It was just funny that it it like stopped me and interrupted everything I was doing. And I kind of like when things like that happen during the day.
What a beautiful outlook you have on life, because there have been moments where, you're walking out the door and you're late and your pants get hooked on the door or it pulls your backpack and it's like, oh my God, I just wish I was dead, So you have a great attitude. That's the way we should all be living our life. So today we are going to talk about why you need a personal brand. And this is such a fun and interesting one because, well, it's really important. Let's just start there. It is extremely important that you build a personal brand and you don't put all of your eggs in the basket that is the company or startup or business that you're working on building.
Yeah, that's true.
So, Michelle, where do we even start? Where does a person start when it comes to a personal brand?
I think a lot of people get confused about what personal branding is. And you kind of just touched on it. They make their business their brand, or they make their social media channel their brand. But in reality, it's actually quite opposite. Those are just avenues to get to your big why. And that's just part of one of the what you're going to do to get there.
Yes, you're right. The important thing is you, the person. And that's where you should be putting all of your eggs in this basket. I don't know. I'm going to stop with that analogy, but it really is true. And a really good example here. I've been so excited to say this one. Michelle, who owns Tesla?
Elon Musk.
And who owns Twitter?
Elon Musk.
And who owns SpaceX?
Elon Musk.
Right. He has a very strong personal brand.
Yes.
We know that he owns those things because of who he is.
Mm.
Who owns Mercedes?
I have no idea.
Me neither. No one knows. And I didn't come up with that example. I forget where I heard it, but it spoke to me. And I was like, that right there is the importance of having a personal brand. Whoever owns Mercedes is doing a terrible job with their personal brand. The actual business is great. Love a nice Mercedes. I think we'd all be happy to have a brand new, I don't even know like what kind of cars. I think they're all numbers, like whatever. That's not the point.
GX5.
Yeah. Yeah. Whatever they are. But like whoever owns Mercedes is doing a terrible job with their personal brand. And if they then sell Mercedes, they've got nothing. Like Elon just happened to buy Twitter, but he's probably going to resell it soon. It's not going to affect him all that much because we know Elon. We know what he does. He posts a ton of content that's controversial and polarizing and funny and memes. And like he's checking every box that you can with a personal brand, even some that I'm like, you don't even want to be that polarizing. But I guess if you're a trillionaire and you're like your main goal, like his why, his mission, every single thing he does, he asks, is this going to get me closer to colonizing Mars and getting people living in a self sufficient way on Mars? And that is his why. And yours might be a little bit simpler than that. Your why might just be like, I just want to be able to spend time with my family and like fight the plastic pollution crisis.
That's
You
literally what
don't,
I was thinking.
yeah, I know. That's really important to both of us is like ocean pollution. Well, I guess ocean cleanup. But like Elon, everything he does, like his acquisition of Twitter, he knows that that's going to get him closer because he's working on developing this platform for free speech where people can learn, grow, educate each other. So everything he does is based on that why. And your personal brand should do something similar. Like you need to have a mission that's clear.
I totally agree. I do have a question because I don't want this to be controversial, But the owner of Mercedes, why might be he doesn't even want people to know him. He just wants to make money and then bring it home for his family and leave a legacy. So I do want people to know that we're not knocking that. We're just saying that if you want to grow your personal brand and want to grow a presence online and want to leave a legacy for more, then this is very applicable for that.
Yes, good point to mention. Whoever that powerful person is, we want to stay on their good side. We love Mercedes. We're not knocking them, but in the world of personal branding, maybe that's what they were going for, or maybe they need to work on it. And like personal brand is something we could all work on. Like just because we gave this amazing example of Elon Musk, like there's probably still a lot of things he could do better. He could do more interviews with people. He could talk to more people. He could talk about his mission more. Like a lot of people don't know that. Like, did you know that that's his why? Like he bases all of his decisions on that.
Well, yeah, I drive a Tesla, so I do
Okay.
know that. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Where do we go next with a personal brand, Michelle? We know what it is. We're starting to get into how to establish it. What comes next?
I think that it's important for specifically content creators to know that your content creation is just an avenue of the why. It's an avenue to get you to what your big goal is. And so my goal isn't to grow a social media following. My goal is so much deeper than that. And growing a social media following is part of it, but like that's not my main why. And a lot of this ties into having no niche because, for example, the Mercedes owner has a niche. He is the CEO of Mercedes, whatever. That is his thing. That's what he does. That's great. But for personal branding, you have multiple layers and it all is about you as a person. Like there will never be an oversaturated amount of content creators because there's only one you. There's only one version of me. And that is what I bring into my personal branding. I don't make up a personal branding. I take what I already am and then incorporate that into my personal branding. And I think that's where a lot of people get confused.
I think that's a really good thing that you mentioned is how to tie it into your content and just show up authentically as yourself, knowing what your mission is. Like a lot of people get it wrong and they are thinking that. They're thinking like, I want to grow a following, but like, why? What are you going to do with your following? What is the mission? What is the goal? And hopefully it's not just solely to make a bunch of money for yourself. Like hopefully there is something deeper and you do have a passion and a problem that you want to solve for people. Like personally, as a person who I feel like everything ties back to this for me. Like this is my why. Like I was so miserable at my 9 to 5 job that like my passion is helping other people build a business so they can quit their 9 to 5 and just see how much life has to offer. There is so much more than working in a cubicle. And I was living that for what felt like decades, even though it was only like 2 years of my life, and working with people and transforming them into the person that gets to quit and unlock this level of freedom and fulfillment. Like that's my why. That's why I do this. And every single time like someone completes that transformation, I just have this feeling of like I could literally die right now and I'd be like, this was a good life lived because I was able to make an impact on other people. So like that's my why and I'm true to that and my content speaks to that.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I mean, I think that's why we do this podcast, but I want people to thrive in their creativity, but also I want people to thrive in life. And part of life is taking care of our planet. And that is so deeply ingrained in me. Like, yes, I want people to thrive. I want them to know they're creative and they can use that because I was once in a job where I couldn't use my creativity and I felt defeated. I felt like somebody was sitting on my shoulders and I was so oppressed from being me. And I want people to be empowered to be them and know that their creativity can be unlocked and expedited in a way that they can start making money with it if they wanted to, or just as a hobby or something. But all of that is also going to, I want to make a lot of money someday just so that I can really help fund cleaning up our oceans and like doing some more sustainable things, even just like teaching people about it because I did not really understand what recycling was until I moved to LA. And that's really sad to admit, but it's true. And so it's that to me is also empowering people. And so I just want people to thrive in all areas, but I don't want our planet to go bad, keep going negative, downward, whatever projection. And so there's like a lot of that, but I encompass all of that into my personal brand. We're not straightforward, like this is how we are described as a person. Like there's so many multiple layered things about us. And I think that that's beautiful. And people need to embrace that.
Right. Things are, yes, things are not that clear cut. And ultimately one day, like this podcast, I want it to trend that way. I imagine we could get a sponsor that was like related to that, because like I guess personal brand can be, there can be layers to it, because like overall, like the reason we do this podcast is because we want people to go through the transformation that we've had, going from like just an employee somewhere to like becoming a person of influence that's changing the world and like having this domino effect on other people. But like our deeper thing is like we're really both, like we care so much about climate and the environment and things like that. So your personal brand can be like several layers deep. Like Elon Musk's, like his deepest level is like he wants to colonize Mars to the point where if rockets stop coming, people can still survive and live there. But like there are a lot of steps in between that, like first he wants to create just a place where people can speak freely. And like that's a big step towards being able to literally move to another planet. Like first we got to figure out how to talk to each other. So like his personal brand is several layers deep. So can yours. Ours is too.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is like yes, I have this big vision for how I can help with sustainability efforts, but how am I going to get there? Well, I need money. Well, how can I make money? Well, I need to have a career where that happens. And also, I want people to know me and know my heart behind it, so I'm not just some like crazy person yelling, "Stop using plastic." And instead, I like you understand why I feel this way. And that is part of personal branding. I'm more bought into the person than the mission at first. And that's going to get me to listen.
My friends and family also think I'm a crazy person for the way I like attack them if they use like single use plastics and things. So it's so funny that like we're both kind of like crazy about this, but at the same time, like we're focused on the people directly that are listening to us. And I don't think I've made a piece of content about like climate change in at least 2 months.
We didn't even know that about each other till like a few weeks ago. We were like, wait, how have we not talked about this? But it's
Yeah,
because that's not my main focus right now. And it sounds like yours isn't either. And that's not a bad thing. That's part of our personal brand.
it's true. It's true. So just really neat like how your values tie into your personal brand. It really is important, because if you don't have a mission and you're just after money, people will probably see through that, and it will just take you, it doesn't mean you can't like it's not going to work, but it's just going to take you a lot longer to get where you want to go, because ultimately one day you'll figure out like actually I do have a mission and I do have values and things that are important to me. So take the time to think about these things. A lot of the time, like life is so busy and distracting, you may not have ever taken an hour to just like turn your phone off and think about like what do I actually want to accomplish with my time here on earth. Like we talk about how short it is all the time. Like there are not that many months in your life. What did we say it boils down to? Like 800 months or something if you're lucky. Like oh my god, I thought it was like December the other day, like there goes 5 of them gone. So take some time for yourself to think about like what do you actually want to do with your time on earth? What kind of impact do you want to have?
It's true. That's probably the best place to start is asking yourself that and asking yourself, what do you enjoy doing? What are you good at? What do you like? That is part of it. Like, you don't have to give up those things. You shouldn't give up those things. We have those things in us for a reason. And empowering people to dive deeper and find those things is so crucial to us being happy humans.
Yeah, it really is. Like I was I was a very unhappy human for most of my life, and it's funny because a lot of people who know me from high school probably think like, when did he become like Mr. Positivity? It's always been in me, but I hated school so much. I was a miserable student. Like I got in, and this will tie back, but I got in trouble in second grade because I raised my hand and I asked my teacher, and I was like, where is this going? I used to always get in trouble like in elementary school for saying things like that because I've always been in touch with the fact that life is short. And I was like, why am I wasting my time in this classroom? Like, I'm 7. I should be doing something else. I should be doing something other than this. And I was in touch with that then, and I'm in touch with it now. So anyone who like used to know me knows I was not a very pleasant student, nor a good student. But once I was able to like free myself from like jobs and schools and things I don't like, and just allow myself to like blossom into the person that I want to be with the impact I want to have, it's easy to be positive. Your whole attitude and demeanor will change when you get in touch with what the hell you want to do on this planet.
Yeah, and this is something too, is it's okay and actually a good thing to be cringy. Like, get out of your comfort zone. You have to get out of the comfort zone and caring what people think, because I would have never started posting things on social media if I was afraid of looking cringy. But cringy is only cringy until you hit the 5 million followers, and then you're successful. You're like, oh, that person's successful. They're only cringy until people see, oh, this is working. And so it's like, don't be afraid to be cringy about the things that you're passionate about. Like, why are people afraid of that?
So well said. Yeah, it's really cringy at first, or at least it will feel like it. It's not actually, but it will feel like it at first when you're trying to put yourself out there and be like, I'm suddenly on a mission. All of a sudden, like, this is what I want to do with my life. A lot of people are going to look at you like you're a bit crazy, but pretty soon you will start to attract the people that feel the same way about things and that's actually like support you on this journey. Like I have friends now that like I didn't really talk to back in the day, and now it turns out like we actually have a lot in common, but like that sheltered version of myself that wouldn't leave my comfort zone, like that wasn't the person they wanted to be friends with. They wanted to be friends with like the new me that's like really like self-aware and involved and impactful and just like always trying to inspire people.
Yeah, and what's so crazy to me is I used to be the same way. And it's like I was molding myself into who I thought people wanted me to be, but the people that liked that version of me weren't even people I really wanted to be around because they didn't really know the real me. And now that I am fully me, it's like the attracting of the right people into your life. It's just that's like that's what we should be doing. We should want that and not want to be somebody that we're not.
That was beautiful. That was like chilling because everyone who goes on this journey will go through that same thing. Like some people will just walk out the door of your life and be like, I don't really like where you're heading. And a lot of the time it's because it makes them uncomfortable to see you growing when maybe you came from the same place or similar circumstances, but you're rising above that to do something bigger. It may make people uncomfortable and they might not want to be your friend anymore. Or maybe they just like the old version of you better, but maybe that old version of you isn't who you liked better.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been through the same thing. Like a lot of people have walked out of my life and been like, I don't really like where you're heading. And a lot of people walk in too and are like, I want to go where you're going. And it's like, come on then, like, because we're doing this.
Yes, yes. And that is so empowering to surround yourself with people who support you and know you. And that also goes into who you are online should be who you are in real life. This persona that you are posting should be the same person that you really are in real life. Like, there isn't something you have to make up. It's easy to do personal branding when you truly know you instead of trying to think of this fictional character you want to be.
You'll also exhaust yourself if you're pretending to be someone you're not. Like I don't want to say I don't believe in burnout. It's a real thing. Like you can overwork yourself, but you will definitely burn yourself out if you're trying to be someone you're not. The more authentic you can be to you and things that you actually care about, the less exhausting It's going to be to build your personal brand and build your following and build a community and build a business because it's true to you. It
Yeah.
feels natural rather than forcing yourself to do all this unnatural stuff.
Yeah, and what's cool too is like for me, the going back to the cringe thing, the person I've always wanted to be that I was trying to tell myself, I don't want that. I don't want that. It was on the other side of being cringy, quote unquote. It's not cringy, but it to me felt so uncomfortable. And there was like this person I wanted to be that I knew was deep in me, but I was like, that will never happen. That's not possible for me to be the person that just freely talks online and can go on camera without makeup and just be herself. I did not think that was ever going to be possible, but it is. And so it's like, getting to know me, getting to know what I enjoy, what I like, and then getting out of my comfort zone to put that online, perfect recipe for success.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is the recipe right there. So now let's kind of talk about how like our personal brands differ. Like, for example, you and I have so much in common, but like at the same time, we operate pretty differently on some things. For example, like, because you mentioned you should show up online the same as you do in person. And we do that in the way we send emails. When I get an email from Michelle, it is long and it is perfect and it has emojis and things are underlined and things are in bold and it's just amazing and aesthetic. And when I send an email, it's like pretty short to the point, probably a little in your face and abrupt because that's like kind of how I am. Like I don't beat around the bush too much. I'm like, look, here's the information, here's what we need to do, let's go. So like your personal brand is so much more than just like content you make. It's in everything you do about your business. The way we write emails. How about the way we send proposals?
Yeah. Yeah. My proposals match the aesthetic of my interior design in my home. And they're very thought out. They have my personal branding color palette, the same fonts. It is like very clean and again just aesthetically pleasing versus yours looks like PowerPoint presentation. Not even PowerPoint. What does yours look like?
Maybe worse, honestly. White page, black numbers, black text, maybe a table if you're lucky. If I like you, if you're a quality client, it's just the way we operate. Like people don't look at things that I send and be like, he put no like love or thought into this. No, the information is there, the answers are there. It's very clear. Like I'm extremely clear. You will never read something I send and be like, what did he mean by that? Or like, what is he implying here? Like, I'm super clear and to the point, but it's not going to match the interior of my home. It's not going to be very aesthetic. And that's just like kind of how my personal brand is. Like, my content is similar. I do my best to like make it like captivating and things, but like my profile grid, I will use the red TikTok thing and just slap in like one sentence about what it is every single time. And other than that, like the background will not match anything. And like your profile grid, Michelle, is like so beautiful. Like I could just live in it.
It's on Instagram, yeah. TikTok, I don't have that, but on Instagram, I am so intentional. And that is because I know the audience and I know the brand collaborations want something more aesthetically pleasing from me. And so I am intentional with that. But that's because that's kind of part of what my mission is and what I create and what I want people to have an emotional feeling when they see my content. So I put that into my strategy of what I'm posting on Instagram.
And it's so funny because like our mission there is the same. Like I also like I really want to invoke an emotional reaction when people watch my content, but our personal brands are so different and the way we do it is different. I like to talk about some real life stuff or do something challenging in my video and push myself to a limit of some kind and show people that and slap on like inspirational piano music and things and like try to get people emotionally involved that way. And like Michelle is a totally different way of doing that. even though the mission is kind of the same. So like this is what a personal brand is. It's like, how do you get your point across? You brought this up the other day when we were talking about, we were doing our outline for this podcast. You mentioned like certain things that you see like make you think of me and like my social media accounts. Expand on that a little bit, because that's like the goal of a personal brand, is like you want to be top of mind for people.
Yeah, so your username is Get Ahead with Nick. Your business, Get Ahead with Nick. So whenever I hear somebody say Get Ahead, or like I was watching a movie the other day and it said like Get Ahead, and I thought of you because I'm like Get Ahead with Nick. Like whenever you want to get ahead in life, you go with Nick. And so that two word statement is now tied to you because that is your personal brand. You help people get ahead. And so that's what you want people to remember you by. Is like, oh, that's the guy that helped me get ahead, or that's the guy that's all about like helping people get ahead.
And I like the way you phrase that, actually. I might have to think about that. Um, you had said when you want to get ahead in life, go with Nick. That's a really like powerful tagline. The one that I usually go with, I've done two in the past. I used to slap my phone at the end of a video and be like, follow me to get ahead. Or no, follow me to get your life together. That was like how I was building my personal brand. Like people would be like, oh, you're like the follow me to get your life together guy. Like people would think of me that way. Not to mention when I would have a video doing well, people would see that and want to follow me and be like, yeah, my life ain't all together right now, so I should probably follow him. And that's like the type of person I want to attract and I want to help and I want to inspire. So when it comes to those taglines, I would love to go through a couple just to emphasize to people like how important these are, like what you think of when you see these things. So, Michelle, when you hear Taste the Rainbow, what do you think of?
Skittles.
Skittles, yeah. What about Just Do It?
Nike.
How about You're in Good Hands?
Allstate.
Yes,
Ooh.
yes. What about, they're getting harder. What about What's in Your Wallet?
Oh my gosh. I know this one. State Farm?
Close. It's a bank.
Capital One?
Yes, Capital One.
Wow.
One more. This one's easy. Snap, crackle, pop.
Rice Krispie treats?
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
that felt like I was like doing a test.
I know, but like the point is, we did not rehearse that at all. And like I just say those taglines, and she was able to come up with all of them. Is Capital One your bank?
Yes, actually, my business bank.
Okay, okay, funny. Is Skittles your favorite candy?
Absolutely not. I would never eat Skittles.
Yeah, I hate them too. Do you use Allstate for your insurance?
No.
So the point is that Michelle doesn't even use these services or businesses, but their tagline is so deeply ingrained in her because these brands are working on branding themselves. And even though it's not a personal brand, because it's related to the business, think of how this applies, kind of like we talked about Tesla and like Elon versus Mercedes and whoever owns Mercedes. Think of how you could apply taglines like this to create a personal brand for yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, there's so many creators too that have this implemented. Like that girl on YouTube that's like, where'd you learn this? Oh, I learned it from blah, blah, blah. I don't even remember her name. Wow, I should probably.
Her Okay, she is Erica
There
Cullenberg,
you go.
and she says, "Where did you learn that?" And she's like, "Erica taught me. She's a lawyer and she reads the fine print so I don't have to."
Yes.
Or there's this guy, Movement by David, and at the end of his videos, he does a split or hangs upside down. He's like, "Stay flexy."
Mm,
And you just know that like he's the stay flexy guy. She's the lawyer girl. These people have a really strong personal brand, and like although I'm working on growing mine, these taglines are such a powerful way to do it. They really really move the needle because you stand out in people's mind. Like a strong personal brand stands out in someone's mind. Like Just Do It. Again, I know that's tied to a business, but like we all know that's Nike. And sure, they have a bigger marketing budget, They can be everywhere, but it doesn't change the principle of like having a slogan simply will move the needle a ton.
Yeah, on your website, front page, like say something that you do or something unique that you provide in a very short blurb, even on your bio on social media. Like there are so many different ways you can implement this across channels so more people can learn about it, but you need a good one. Like my content creator reality hashtag that went from 0 to millions. I don't even know what it's at right now. But I had brands reaching out to me being like, "You're the content creator reality girl. Like we want to feature our products in your posts because we love them. We love that you're showing authenticity behind the scenes." And I don't I don't think that's a good tagline or anything, but it is something that people know me as like, "Oh, you're that girl that's like super real online." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm super real in real life too."
Yes, yeah, absolutely. Just being that person that's memorable, that is the goal. This conversation alone is like making me want to rethink my own tagline and like how can I make it more over the top? I almost want to change it now to I wrote it down when you said it like when you want to get ahead in life, go with Nick. And like I wish I could do a backflip or something. Something that's just like it's gonna feel cringy, just like we talked about before. Like it's gonna feel so cringy at first. Like when I started doing the like follow me to get your life together, I was like, what am I doing? Is this gonna work? And then I had a TikTok go viral and it got me 200,000 followers because of that slogan. And I was like, I don't feel cringy anymore. I'm now that guy and I love it.
Yeah.
So I will lead the charge for all of you. By the time you listen to this, I'll probably have some kind of new tagline or something that I'm doing. I've changed it like once or twice. That's another important topic, I guess, is like when it comes to your personal brand or your slogan, don't think that you can't ever change or pivot. You can. And even though it's a big decision, you're not going to want to change it every week, but like your interests might change. Your passions might change, your purpose might change, and all of that's okay.
Yeah, it's so true. Like feeling boxed in is never a good thing. That's why it's great to implement these things into your personal brand if you're posting online. Like do one thing about getting ahead in life, but then also do like here's what I eat in a day as a yoga instructor. And then all those things that encompass the brand of Nick, you can implement those that way people aren't completely thrown off whenever you do a random yoga meditation or something. Like I've been doing home things because that's the season of life I'm in. I'm in my new apartment, I'm furnishing it. And I also show a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And so it's like I want to make sure that I'm not boxing myself in so that a year from now, I feel like I have to start a new channel.
That's a really good point. I just wrote that down. Like, I've never made a video about like what do I eat. I make videos about what I eat, but like not as a yoga instructor. Like a lot of my followers probably don't know that I even teach yoga. I put stories on my Instagram, but like I don't put it on my TikTok a ton. I used to make a lot of yoga TikToks, but I haven't lately. And it's just like I would be able to build a better connection with my audience if they knew that about me.
Yes.
And if you lean into the things that you're passionate about, like I'm so passionate about like health and mobility and strength and using your body because if you don't use it, you lose it. Like you're going to age and things are just going to wear away. So I'm so big on this and like the more I talk about that, the more people are going to be like, "Wow, I relate to Nick for like his business building stuff and his health stuff." And that's how you build like raving fans that like I also eat the same as Nick and you really just start to snowball things.
Yeah, and going back to the connection, it's about connection. That's why it's a beautiful thing to be multi-layered, multi-passionate because you're going to connect with somebody in one area and if you inspire them, they're going to want to know what other areas they can possibly connect with you on or learn from you on. And that's incredible that we have that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, it's true. I think that's a good thing to talk about is like finding people and like platforms and things. So, for example, let's say you're looking to build a personal brand that's focused on maybe it's catered to an older audience. Like it's important to think about what platforms are going to help you reach your goals and build a strong personal brand. If your like ideal person you're trying to connect with is over 40, they're probably not on Lemonade.
Mhm.
they're probably on Facebook. If you're trying to connect with like a younger, like hip, new demographic of people that like are technologically like sound, TikTok and Lemonade, like really good places to be. So just thinking about like what kind of platform is going to help you reach your goals is really important. Like I've been having a lot of success on LinkedIn lately because I talk a ton about business building. LinkedIn is like Twitter for business. Like, and it's becoming like less strict and uptight. Like people are really kind of, I don't want to say like letting loose on there like it's crazy, but people are becoming a little more relaxed, you know? So, Michelle, do you have any tips on this? Like finding your platform or how many platforms you should be working on your brand?
I won't ever say how many because that's just dependent on the person, but my why is tied to different platforms, including this podcast. Like, there are different platforms that you can be on: a blog, a podcast, Amazon influencer program. There's Lemonade, LinkedIn, TikTok, Pinterest. You know, if you're interior design or you do recipes, have a Pinterest, have a blog, have an Amazon storefront. Link your Amazon storefront products on your blog, pin them on Pinterest. Like, there's ways to find your audience through multiple platforms.
I think that's really well said. You gave a lot of good examples there too of like, where are you going to find your people? And you're right. Like that was a loaded question. I know you would give a good answer though. Like there is no right amount of platforms to be on. You're just going to have to think about which of these is going to move the needle the most for you. How many can you comfortably handle? Because if you try and get on 20 different platforms at once, like you're starting YouTube long form and a podcast and Instagram and TikTok and Amazon, and you're selling your products on Kajabi, and like there is a such thing as too much. Start smaller and build your way up. And that's how a personal brand usually comes too.
Yeah, you have to look inward, not outward. Don't look at what everybody else is doing. Look inward. What is your goal? And then here are the different ways I'm going to help execute and reach that goal.
Beautifully said. And I think it's also important to mention like long form content will help you build a better connection with people, and short form content is probably better to quickly reach a large audience and like funnel them to your long form. Honestly, like when we started this podcast, we knew that like it's going to give people a chance to really connect with us and feel like they know us, and like you're sitting at the table where we're having this conversation even though we're at different places. Long form just allows you to really connect with people in a different sense versus like short form content that people are flying through and like they're seeing you for 30 seconds and then they don't see you again until tomorrow. It's not the same, even though it's still really important. So is there anything else that you can think of that we really need to mention when it comes to building a personal brand? I feel like we talked about so many important parts of it, and it's one of those things where this could be a 16-hour conversation, like going into the rabbit holes of personal brand. But anything else you can think of?
I think that it's just so important that people know that you don't have to fully know what your personal brand is before getting started. I did not fully know what my personal brand was until after I had been doing different things for a year. And I did it with no confidence at first, but there is no requirement to have confidence before you start something or before you do anything in life. And so it's like, just getting started and really, again, looking inward. What is it that makes Michelle Michelle? And then utilizing what platforms I know exist in order to share those things and reach my goal. I think that's just so important that people understand you don't have to be someone you're not. It's actually about figuring out who you are and then making those action steps from there.
That's so important. You really do have to take some time to figure yourself out. And you don't have to do all of that before you start. We have a podcast episode about just getting started. If you haven't listened to that yet, oh my God, go listen to it, especially if you're kind of beating around the bush. But it's so important to give yourself some time to figure out like who you are, who do you want to be. You're allowed to change the person that you were and become someone new, and change your identity. That was like what set me off on this journey. Like, I decided I no longer want to have the identity of like this stick in the mud employee at some corporate office that's making me miserable. I was like, I want to be a business owner. I want to be a person with influence. I want to change the world. I want to be remembered. I want to impact people in the way that I know I can. So I decided I gave that a lot of thought. That wasn't like something I thought of like on my lunch break one day. Like, I was thinking about that for many weeks and months and even years, probably. Like, it was inside of me. And then I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to get started. And I just started posting on TikTok. I didn't just start a business. I just started posting on TikTok and putting myself out there to see how it felt. And although not everyone was super receptive and I didn't just blow up immediately, it took a lot of time. It took me so long to get my first 1,000 followers, but I was testing how it felt. And it felt so good. And that was what made me decide like I was going to start a life coaching business and I was going to keep doing this and I was going to see where this journey takes me.
Yeah. Yep.
Any last minute thoughts, Michelle?
No, I just want people to be who they are and know that they're enough and then thrive. That's just, I want people to thrive.
Yes, so important. My At the end of my yoga class the other day, I talked extensively about how you already are enough, and that could be a whole episode in itself.
Maybe it needs to be soon.
Maybe it needs to be. You're right. If you are looking for more ways to monetize your creativity and find more freedom in your life, subscribe to this podcast, leave us a rating, leave us a review, DM us, tell us what you want us to talk about. Give us a topic idea. Maybe you know a guest that you think would be really important for us to have on. Share that information. Don't be selfish. We'll answer you, I promise. You can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Get Ahead with Nick, and you can find Michelle on Instagram and TikTok at Michelle JH. That's Michelle with 2 L's, 4 E's, JH. Thanks. Love you all for listening, watching, however you consume this, and we'll see you next time.